or committee on any matter that is not posted on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the board or committee should complete a citizen comments registration form and submit it to the board liaison or board chair prior to the start of the meeting. There is a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak, with a reasonable limitation on speakers on one topic or item, with a maximum of 15 total minutes on the same topic item. Anyone wishing to speak shall be courteous and cordial. The board committee is not permitted to take action on any subject raised by a speaker during citizen comments. However, the chair may have the item placed on a future agenda for action, refer the item to the city administration for future study or action, for further study or action, briefly state existing city policy, or provide a brief statement of factual information in response to the inquiry. Don't see any citizens to make a comment, so we'll go ahead and move forward. If we could now, let's go ahead and move to agenda item C1. Consider approval of the minutes for the April 17th, 2025 meeting and take appropriate action. Does anybody have any corrections or any kind of comments you'd like to make on the minutes as they currently stand?
Yeah, these weren't the minutes I turned in. Heavily edited.
Yeah, we edited them.
Heavily edited. So I have at least one where Barbara's comment commending Urbano Olivas isn't even in there anymore. And then my text about Gateway to the Globe was changed to say the food was great, when that's not what I said, because I didn't actually think that holistically of the event. So these were severely edited. If y'all don't like the way I'm taking notes, I would rather not do this job. I really wouldn't.
So just curious, what's the editing? This is something new. This has not been happening in the past. So what?
We always
changed it?
edit.
It wasn't as significant as this time. This was flashing out.
Yeah, wait, well, Lynn and I both review the minutes and
Yeah.
we part it down because they're pretty verbatim and we'd like to be able to do them where they're not as verbatim, but if there's something in there that we missed, we can
My
always go
notes,
back.
I would love y'all to tell me that rather than
Okay.
me open them up and it's all different and the
Well,
content.
maybe what we can do is,
Editing is not having issues with the notes. It's just, there's a recording on YouTube, before the meeting, so we just cut and paste and just leave it pertinent.
But if I'm not taking notes to y'all's satisfaction, I would like to not be in this rolling.
No, that has nothing to do with that.
well, I think maybe what we can do is we can, if you get us the notes that you take, we can just go back and forth reviewing the notes. And then that way, if there's things that you want in there, we can we can email and go through the notes, You can send us your notes, we can make comments, and then we can kind of go back and forth. That way we get something we all are cool with. If that's okay with you.
That would be better
Yeah.
than taking out things like
Yeah.
commending a city staff member and changing the intent of sentences. And that's all I was able to find in this.
Right.
Because I only had a couple days.
Right. So, and I think that's the big thing is just the turnaround time gets to be tougher, having that review time. And I think that's why we just kind of want to go ahead and get them edited and get them in. But if there's things in here that we took out that you want us to go back, we can always do that.
I made 2 comments and one was the Urbano comment and
Okay.
one was changing what I said about the Gateway to the Globe event.
Do you want to just send those to Lynn?
I have them documented. in here.
Okay.
I
Okay.
still have the original. Correct. She sent it.
Okay.
But it'll be in these. I wrote exactly where it was.
Okay. So you have them in the minutes you got. Okay.
Yes.
So we can make that change. We can make those changes.
I make a motion to,
Well, he had,
Oh, no, there's 2 very minor.
there's
typos.
typos now too.
But does anybody else have
Changing
anything
it.
before we make motions? And, okay, the 2 minor typos is under section B, citizen comments, the last bullet. Read the very last sentence. It is next to spillways. There's an extra spill in there. I think you want to just get rid of that spill and just say next to spillway. Once again, just minor edit. Typo. And then go to the second page. C2, discuss the community garden. Think about it's the bullet that starts with Councilman Richard Jackson and city manager. Just get rid of that comma. You don't need the comma after city manager.
Where's this at?
Under the bullet that says Councilman Richard Jackson and city manager Ben Williams, about the 6th bullet down.
It got the comment after city.
Yeah, you don't need to say, once again, very minor typos.
And then are you gonna say for the record, the verbiage you want added?
Yes, sure. C2, add the following back to the beginning of the section. Robert Leedy said, Urbano Olivas has been responsive and open to considering ideas and letting her know when it's not a good idea. She challenges the Department of Park and Recreation to do what they can to retain Urbano Olivas. Then under C6, replace the first bullet with Jonathan Nelson Smith attended Gateway to the Globe. It was a great event, well attended, enjoyed the food she ate.
Any other adjustments to the minutes? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes with all the changes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the adjustments.
Second.
that.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for all the work. Okay, now let's go to, if we could, let's go to C2, update on the community garden.
I think we just wanted to bring this back up because it was kind of, we got the update from Barbara at the last meeting, and I think it was just, if there's any, I think you were wanting this on here, David, to kind of just continue the conversation from the last meeting.
Well, let me be more specific. So, each one of us, not each one of us, several of us had assignments. And the assignment was to reach out to your respective council person and get any insight that they might share with you on what their thoughts were regarding community gardens. So I live in District 5, so my council person is Roger Neal, and I spoke to Roger, and what I'd like to do is now share with you the conversation I had with Roger. I share with him the fact that we'd had this conversation. It was our understanding that Councilman Jackson and the city manager, Ben Williamson, had gone and actually talked about possibly moving the community gardens from its current location, potentially moving into a space which I believe is south of the Mansky Library, but north of the fire station on Webb Chapel. That was one of the potential areas. So I was just trying to get a sense from him, what are his thoughts? What are his thoughts about this whole concept of moving the community gardens? And what he shared with me was his actual initial reaction was one of concern because he thought that meant it would be something that if expensive, it sounded expensive to take the property, the community gardens where it is now and move it to a new location. So he's concerned about that. And he shared with me that if you go back in time, if you think back to when we had the conversation earlier about potentially, in order to try to get a tax break for the citizens, the city council was looking at ways to cut costs. And one of the things they considered doing was cutting back the hours, for example, of this facility, the Branch Connection, the natatorium. And we went through a whole process of, and I give the council credit because once they listened to us, they said, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to cut back those hours. He said during that whole process where the city council was looking at ways they could save money, they did take a look at community gardens. And forgive me if I don't have the exact figure, but I thought he said it was a number around $30,000. He said in his perspective, if you eliminate a $30,000 line item, that's not going to really have a material impact for the amount of taxes that people in Farmers Branch are paying. So in his mind, it wasn't really material to try to eliminate the community gardens. So he went from when originally they were thinking about ways to cut costs, and then community gardens came up as a potential. But then once he saw the numbers, says from his perspective, he didn't think it made sense to try to eliminate community gardens. And then I was asking, what are his thoughts about this whole thing about moving it to a nonprofit? And he, once again, this is just one council member. I'm very anxious to hear what you heard from the other four, but he didn't really think that was anything necessary, and he didn't really feel like it was something that the city was pushing to try to move the community gardens. So that's the feedback from Roger Neal. I'd love to hear from each one of you he was going to talk to, or not, no, sorry, not each one of you, but who was, I think it was Adrienne, you were going to talk to either Richard Jackson or Elizabeth Villafranca. What were you able to?
I have not talked to either one. I saw Richard and didn't have an opportunity. It wasn't a good time to broach the subject. So I have not talked.
Okay, no worries. So he's off, I think, or he's off now.
He will be rolling off, and so I'll
Okay.
have a chance to talk to Elizabeth.
Okay, so would you be able to do that before our next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but let's make sure we also talk about this during our next meeting as well. So thank you very much, Adrienne. Thank you. Okay, Barbara, you were going to talk to David Reed and also Omar. So what did you hear from the two of them?
Well, Omar begged off because he was just rolling out of his election and needed to talk with Ben Williamson, so he begged off until he could have that discussion. David Reed gave me some information that I need to verify before I share.
Okay, so would you be able, so we'll hear what you talked to David for the next meeting. Okay, and what about Omar? Do you think you'll be able to reach out to Omar before our next meeting and get feedback from him?
I get time.
Okay. I mean this with all sincerity. If you don't have time or you don't think you're gonna have time, let me know, because I would be more than happy to talk to him. If you feel like, I don't want to cause a burden for anybody in the council or on the board, but if you feel like you don't have time to do that, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to take that to do that, because I think it's important to try to get the input. So do you think you'll be able to or not by the next meeting?
I don't know. I want to follow up on this.
So how about we do this? You work with David to get, find out what, so you're comfortable talking about next time. I will take some action on to take it off your plate, because, it's not really fair for you to have to. I'll reach out to Omar, get his feedback. If that's okay with you.
That's fine. But again, if I do see Omar, I will take the opportunity.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be difficult. From his perspective, I don't want him to have to hear from two different people.
Mhm.
If you believe that you can do it between now and the next meeting, that's great, then that's great. But if not, I'm offering to do it so you won't
I
have.
understand the offer. I will let you know if it needs to be acted on.
Okay, so I'm not gonna do it until I hear from you. Okay, sounds good. Okay, next, Tina Bennett Burton, were you able to reach out to Tina? Okay, I'm offering the same thing to you.
Go
Do you
for
think- okay, all right. I'll talk to her about some other stuff. Okay, all right, so, the reason why I think it's really, really helpful to find out what council is thinking, because from my perspective, after talking to Roger, that's only one council member, but I got the impression that he doesn't see any reason why we should be talking about moving it somewhere else. In fact, that was kind of raising red flags for him, like, what's gonna be the cost of that? So my impression from him is, let's just keep status quo. But I think he asked the best question of all, which is, what do the members of the community garden want? And, Barbara, I don't know if you.
Members of the community garden would love to retain the status quo.
Keep it right where it is.
They're established there. I mean, not to make a pun or whatever, but they have roots there. And a lot of them have their heart and soul in that. And that is their preferred option, is to stay there. And maybe possibly expand on it. That's a discussion for a different day.
Okay,
I think one thing I noticed, and I was not here for last month's meeting, but that particular location that they're discussing between the parking lot of Mansky and the fire department, that is from where there's parking, that is an uphill climb, which a number of those gardeners could not physically do. Because I know some of them personally. So that's not, whereas it's flat where it is now and much more accessible. So.
thank you for sharing that. Also, I go back to, once again, I'm talking to many people who've been at Farmers Branch for a long time. I'm a relatively newbie. When I went to go check out the community gardens for the first time, I was very impressed with it. It's just been very impressed with the whole concept. And so, anyway, more to come on that. Now, having said that, Robert, do you have anything you'd like to say, or anybody else to talk about what your thoughts are? I guess the concern is that the community gardens is technically not on city property. And that was a concern in terms of going forward. But I didn't hear, at least from Roger Neal, once again, that's just one council member, that it was that was a big deal.
Well, I think from a budget perspective, we're going into budget with maintaining the status quo as it was last budget. I mean, I'm sure it'll be discussed, and I think you all reaching out to council will get it fresh in their minds. I think that we talked about last time. So, we'll just have to see kind of what the manager and the council is going to want to do. We're not cutting any funding, but I think it has to be discussed because with last year, that this was going to be the year we would transition. So at some point that's got to have to be discussed. We have funding in there currently, and I'm not planning on removing it until we're told to remove it. Does that make sense? So, it's going to be something that has to be discussed. The funding's staying where it is. And then probably what we'll do if it's the long-term direction to keep it at the church, I do feel like we do need to revisit the agreement that we have with the church, maybe just to get that updated, because I think it's on a standing agreement. And, I think it might benefit us to just kind of get it updated, but it's not a critical item, and it's not something we have to do right away. So, I know I looked at that, last fall, so. But especially I know with some of the changes, and James talked about that too, with the school being there and all that, that there might need to be just some updates to the agreement, but something we can cross that bridge, so.
Is it possible to get at least a rough idea of costs to create a new garden at another spot, be it by the fire station or wherever else? Because that information would help this group, I think, make a recommendation of whether we think it's most logical and economical for it to stay where it is or to move.
So you're bringing up a really good point, which is, that it would be a very valuable piece of information. That's why, once again, you had a council member who was actually going with the city manager, actually checking out a space. So that's why I want to get feedback from them on what are they thinking? And once again, right now, we only have 20% of the information we need, which is talking to one city council member. We need to talk to the other 4, get the other 80% we're missing. And so, for example, I'm just speculating here. Perhaps Jackson and Ben Williams had already come up with an idea and already had an idea of how much that would cost. I don't know. That's why it'd be good. That's why it's important to talk to them to get their feedback.
And I was just gonna say, I think that's where I need direction from the manager on coming. I think they're talking about how they want to do it. Once they get a direction, then they'll come to us and say, hey, Rob, these are what we need. Go get us some numbers. We haven't gotten that, and we haven't given that direction. So,
Because to me, it doesn't make sense to have a well-established thing and redo it, spend money to create something new when you already have a very viable plot of
and I think too,
situation.
we were waiting to get from the city manager perspective of trying to get through elections and see who's going to be available to talk about the budget. So now that's done. So I think, if we're directed to get information on other locations or whatever, budget's coming hard and fast. And so we don't have a whole lot of time to turn stuff around, but we can get those numbers if we're asked to get it. So.
That's not an insignificant exercise.
Pardon me, what'd you say?
That's not to run the numbers to pull up something like that is not an insignificant exercise.
Exactly, which is, once again, who knows, maybe they've already thought, who knows, we don't know until we talk to them, how far they even are down the road, if they're down the road at all.
I just think they're done.
So here's the other thing too, is the whole concept of whether or not it should or should not be a nonprofit as well. Because I know that's been kind of kicked. So once again, I'll be very anxious for next meeting when we have the input from the other 4, so we'll have a 100% picture instead of, once again, we have a 20% picture.
Now, Elizabeth, from to our next workday on June 7th, she
Great.
will be in attendance. As soon as
That's
the
position
election
number
was
4.
finalized, one of the gardeners reached out.
Yeah, I'd love to hear, and she's new on the council, so I'd love to get her perspective. Okay, anything else on that topic? I think we.
Well, on the garden, we have our gardeners group chat, and apparently yesterday there was a fairly unhinged person in the garden at about 4:30 yesterday afternoon, ranting and raving. A gentleman was on site and he put the note out that he was ranting and raving mainly about the world, but about women in particular. So he put it out, please be careful. He thought the gentleman was homeless. There's food, there's water.
Did anybody call the police?
He was asked to call the police by multiple gardeners as soon as they came out with, you need to call the police now.
Y'all have issues out there. Sign. Y'all have issues with somebody, don't mess around with it, don't play around with it, to all the gardeners who are there. They just need to call the police.
Yeah, they know.
And-
We've discussed it multiple
Yes,
times.
I don't know why anybody's they're gonna wait around and try to see what's going on, but we have some of the issues, same things that go on at some of our other city properties, and that's one of the things that you don't know what these people have on them, you don't know what they're gonna do. It's just call the police and let the police take care of it. Everybody out there needs to know that's
And that's one of the
protocol,
reasons
just do it.
Well, I told Jessica about an instance too, but people are resistant to doing that. They don't want to be the ones to call.
Yeah, well, you're not the bad person about it, but, you know, until they get enough calls on those people, nothing's gonna be done. So, I mean, unfortunately, we run into it every day, and you need the assistance.
Well, the other thing too, once again, Farmers Branch has great response time.
Yes,
They really do. I mean, they, very impressive response.
Well,
Thankfully, we don't in Dallas.
if they have a record of incidents happening in certain place at a certain time, then they will patrol that area. You know, they need to know so they understand what the needs are.
And if anybody's concern is how the police will respond, they need to see our officers because they do an excellent job of maintaining their calm.
Yeah.
If they can, I mean, they'll take action if they have to, but they have a great way of walking up and talking to somebody and diffusing the anxiety, excitement, whatever.
Well, and just for that reason, we put the physical address wasn't on the property until about a month or so, at the garden.
Oh.
So we had a metal sign made and it is on the shed and everybody's pointed out, this is the address. If there's an issue, walk over here and get the physical address.
That's good.
and please don't take this the wrong way, anybody. But there's several places, if something were to happen by people not, there's multiple areas where that person could disappear. Across the walkover bridge, down in the concrete creek, just a little ways from it, within the neighborhoods. That's why it needs to be important to just call.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
That's kind of another reason we've been kind of looking at relocating. Because we're looking at trying to do something to close it off so people are more safer. So it all is coinciding. I don't want to move it, but we'll see. So
no, we definitely want to keep everybody safe, for sure.
I think I'd want to compare the cost of putting a fence of some sort around it where it is before I move it, but that's me.
But yeah, your counsel just call the police. That's the best, that's absolutely the best advice possible. Any other thoughts or comments on community gardens? Okay, if not, let's move to C3, update on community event subcommittee.
I guess I'll go. Excuse me. Event subcommittee members, some of them turned in homework on time. Some of them did it after the fact. On what events they'd like to see in Farmers Branch, what they would like to implement, safety considerations, and which events they remove to add. The consensus was if they don't have to, they don't want to remove any, but they do want to add some. We discussed creating a proposal and budget for smaller low-cost pop-up events at different parks, and the possibility was discussing it at the June 5th meeting. And Adrian was going to attend for Stephen and I on June 5th because we both had pre-existing conflicts.
Tell me the time on that again.
6 o'clock. It's been pretty like on the dot, 1 hour, 6 to 7.
And what's the location?
We did it in the council chambers this last night. There's a bunch of people on the committee.
Adrian, thanks for doing that. Thank you
No
very
problem.
much. Thank you.
Make sure you put on the calendar.
Yeah, I'm just glad we have a recommendation.
I'm hoping I get my homework in advance so I can still turn stuff in. We're still waiting for others' homework. So can't move forward until the rest of the homework's turned in. But
Hey, kids don't do homework.
it seems positive. There's a lot of energy in that room. A lot of energy, a lot of ideas. I think y'all are gonna have a fun time corralling everyone.
And I just want to update, so I don't know if everyone knows, but Steven Strummel did have a pretty major accident. He's probably not he's not at this meeting today. He's fine, but I don't know if he's in the hospital still, but doing a project at home and I think he either fell off a ladder or something like that. So, but he's got some pretty major injuries, so he'll be laid up for a little while. And we found out because I think as soon as Linda sent the packet out, he sent an email. So I don't know if he's in bed where he can just like check emails all day.
He
Cause
might
it's
do
like
his
almost,
homework.
yeah, like almost immediate. So, but anyway, he's probably going to be out at least this meeting and then June, and he's hoping to be back.
August then.
Well, we don't have a July meeting, so hopefully, yeah, the August meeting. So, yeah.
Anything else on C3? If not, let's go to C4, discuss second quarterly report updates from Recreation Center Athletics, Aquatic Center, and
I will look first at Ashton Munoz, Recreation Manager. So I'm gonna hit just a few points and then ask for questions at the end, okay? So I'm gonna hit 2 points this afternoon or this evening. So our total revenue for this quarter two, we hit 730,274 in total. It was an 8% decrease from this time in this quarter itself, but we're still on par overall for the year as we're trending. But then we did really well in our events and miscellaneous revenue. We went up by 30% this quarter. For Daddy Daughter Dance, our regular ticket sales were 246. Our VIP tables we sold out. And then for Parents Night Out, we had 36 kids come. We've learned that having a kids night out around the February Valentine's time works really well for us. So it landed this year just perfect on Valentine's Day. But yeah, for quarter three, as y'all can tell today, we're kind of busy. We have our summer sunshine orientation. We'll have 202 kids have signed up that we'll have here starting next Friday. We had our parent orientation day. It's the first time we've tried this, and that room is packed if we can't hear them. So we're excited for this coming quarter. So it'll be a really, really good quarter. Do you have any questions about quarter two in general?
I just want to compliment you on the last page of your report. You talked about your Google rating of 4.7 compared to neighboring cities at 4.4 and average of 4.0. That's fantastic.
Mhm.
How are you guys doing that? How are you guys, what do you think is making you switch?
Well, one, we have a great facility. It looks it's very nice and very prestige compared to other facilities as well. We're keeping up with the nice like private ones, fitness centers around us, but then our staff, we're really doing well at training up our staff. They were a really green staff 6 months ago, but Eliana is doing fantastic with them as far as our customer service. So that's how I feel we're retaining people and getting those Google ratings up.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Right. Next up is the Aquatic Center. I, Jessica Alvarado, Recreation Superintendent, will be presenting on their behalf. If you did not know, Paul Macias recently became a father of twins unexpectedly. They did not know she was having babies until she was in labor. So he is at home.
Actually happens.
It does happen. Yes, mom and babies are both at home, Theodore and Jonathan. Jonathan went home first, and then mom had to head back to the hospital. So then dad had Jonathan, and mom was at the hospital, and Theodore was at another one. And then mom came home, and now they're all at home. Theodore came home late last week, so Paul's been working in and out. Tomorrow he actually opens the facility at 5:30 a.m. It's his last day before he's out through the summer. So I'll oversee the aquatics division for him so he can go and learn how to become a dad overnight.
Not to one, but two.
Yeah, not to one, but two. As of right now, yeah, so what we did was Robert, and he's a new grandfather. His family graciously gave so many donations to Paul. Paul had some friends that also had young, and Jackie Biles, branch connection manager, has 3 boys. So he's been, and then the rec center and events team and myself, we kind of put just a small baby shower, got diapers, all the necessities. And we surprised him one morning when he returned. It was that next work day after the babies came, and we surprised him with that. So he's fine for now.
Let us know.
Well, so while we will miss him, his awesome and dynamic team, Paul works ahead of time, which is great. So by the end of April, they were already 90% done with their hiring of their part-time staff, their manuals, ordering of their supplies and their whistles and their chemicals and getting pool inspections and all that stuff. Paul already had it all done. So he basically left a really good aquatics Bible for myself and his assistant manager to kind of just run and maintain for the summer. And they're ready, the coordinator and assistant manager, they're ready to continue to take the lead and have a successful summer. So we'll dive into their numbers. Over this first half of the fiscal year, they saw 12,800 members and guests to enjoy the natatorium for this first half. The membership sales have risen 2% compared to this time last year. Total revenue has surged 24% year over year, and their swim lesson program has expanded by 23%, reflecting increased community interest. Their poolside upgrades, they've received new pumps, that were installed in the lap pools, therapy pools, ensuring optimal water flow and energy efficiency. The VGB, Virginia, I'm probably not saying this right, Graham Baker.
Yeah.
Compliant covers have been added to the activity pool, lazy river, lagoon pool to enhance safety and compliance. And then their financial and satisfaction metrics, the aquatic center's cost recovery stands at an impressive 25%. And the aquatic industry, that is a really good number. Their net promoter score is a stellar 93%, which is also really great because they're such a smaller facility, so they may have lesser people providing their feedback, but actually it's opposite for them. They have a smaller facility, but almost all of their members provide exceptional feedback, which puts them at this 93%. They had to work really hard for. And the short times that I've been there over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I mean, you can just hear it. You know, I work out of Haley's office and I can hear the staff reading and I can hear the members conversating with the staff and they know them on that personal level and they're just like looking at me like, who are you? And so I can't wait to see them continue that during the summer with the Frog Pond, implementing their great customer service skills there and receiving that great feedback. So that way we can continue to push that to the team while they don't have Paul with them this summer, who has been part of the aquatics summers for like 8-9 years already. So he hasn't missed a summer yet. But this one he says he's got 2 new tadpoles. And he plans to bring the babies to swim. Hopefully, like they'll be ready to swim in August, maybe right to September.
He's never worked the aquatic center with lack of sleep.
Yes, yeah. And he's still there, like he's still lack of sleep. He's still working and trucking away, but after tomorrow, he will no longer be working. So if you guys have anything aquatics related, you can just email that to me and I'll get that to Haley.
So this is a great report. I actually had a question and I'm just curious. They talked about the babysitting training that's going to happen during the fall. That sounded really interesting. I don't know if you have anything we can share, but I think it's fantastic. I was a babysitter when I was younger and just the whole concept of training babysitters, I think is fantastic. I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I know for sure the background information that I do know is that Haley and Cassie have been working hard to try and implement new programs such as, you know, CPR for the school district and programs like this, the babysitting. And I believe it's through American Red Cross. So it's a legit like certificate that they'll get.
Great.
Mhm.
Are we gonna keep a list of potential babysitters
Yes,
that parents
go to babysit.
yeah, that are trained?
Yeah.
Paul can use some, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
I just want to remind the board, so we are finalizing the indoor pool is going to have some work done at the end of the summer. You say in September, so it'll probably shut down about a month. So we're replastering the inside pool. So just give everybody a heads up. If you follow council meetings, we'll be taking that to council because of the cost over the threshold. Council will have to look at that. It's a budgeted item. Just wanted to give you all a heads up. We'll put info out before we close and all that good stuff. Anyway, we wanted to wait to get to the end of the summer. We kept it right after, like soon we'll be getting. That's all.
Thank you. All right,
There she is.
thank you.
Okay, Jocelyn Bennett, Community Events Manager. So during this quarter, the events team is deep into planning for all of the 2025 events, such as Gateway to the Globe, Fishing Fun, Independence Day, Halloween in the Park, and our Christmas Carnival. So we are deep into booking all our site logistics, our important vendors, such as our portables, our drone show, our fireworks, our light towers, our golf carts, our band, our live entertainment, our kid zone. So we're out getting quotes, renewing our contracts as well to make sure we have everything booked for the year. We also initiated the start of our department-wide calendar of events, our programs. So we plan every start of the year to make sure that no one double books an event or a program on the same day. So that's exciting to plan as well. We also welcomed two new team members to the events team, our part-timer Kimberly and Amber. She is our supervisor who also oversees athletics. So they joined the team. We also initiated the start of our Gateway to the Globe subcommittee. So we started meeting with them bi-weekly and weekly leading up to the Gateway to the Globe event. To wrap up this quarter, we had our successful second year of Gateway to the Globe. It was well attended. We had over 4,000 attendees. Our budget stayed on track. We didn't extend the 45,000 budget on it. We had our wrap-up feedback with our Gateway to the Globe subcommittee and our new events review subcommittee. So that was really nice to have together and start the new events subcommittee after that. So that has been going on. We are so excited to see what's in store for the remaining events for 2025. Up next, we have our Independence Day, which is July 3rd. Yeah, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you very much. I've got one question.
Yeah.
Under general, the third line down, booking musical entertainment. Forgive me, I'm sorry. The Bloom and Bluegrass, do we have no involvement with that whatsoever now? Okay,
Correct.
that was my question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but if we did originally, that would be the time that we would start planning those as well.
Okay.
Securing all our live entertainment for the year because they get booked pretty quick.
But I mean, yeah, you have live entertainment before 4th of July.
Yeah, and for Christmas as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if we could now, let's move to C5, receive Recreation Division update.
So my team and I, we attended the CFB ISD Community Partners Breakfast that was held a week and a half ago. And we got to meet with, it was kind of like the speed dating where the Farmers Branch team sat at a table, and there was tables everywhere with different community partners, and then the principals rotated with every 4 minutes through the different tables to kind of sell their school and kind of sell opportunities for us to get involved within their schools. So we are going to, I know I mentioned this at previous meetings, we're going to get involved with like the Halloween events, but we also want to get into the schools and how can we assist them. And so one idea that we kind of gathered there was through the Mary Grimes like special education center. Those kids actually go until they're like 24, I believe. And similar to the way the historical park does the birthday boxes for MetroCrest, so we're going to do graduation boxes for those Mary Grimes kids, where we can drop them off because they kind of graduate throughout the year. And so they'll have their supply of those graduation boxes. And then we have some meetings set up in early June. One school has released with the principals here in Farmers Branch at the elementary school and at Arl Turner to see how we can get involved starting next school year on a quarterly basis. Since there's so many schools, we'll kind of divide it through our department, public works, community services, different departments throughout the city. So it's a true City of Farmers Branch partnership and sponsorship. So the team has done that. The team has been working hard on NRPA month activities. And so in our new branch living that will hit June 1st, there will be a whole page dedicated to all the different activities that we'll be doing for NRPA month. And then and then I also have, I'll pass this around, but it's our Independence Day volunteer sign up. So there's 3 different volunteer roles, a guest services role where you're welcoming attendees kind of at the welcome gate. There's 2 different gates. And then there's activity coordinators. So if you wanted to be involved in overseeing the children's games and children's activities, or there's a food and beverage assistant, which is just managing the lines and ensuring that there's cleanliness. We will have staff there, and we will also have our teen leadership program there. So it won't necessarily be that the volunteers are cleaning, but it's like telling the teams like, hey, let's go pick up this table. Because sometimes the teens need that little extra push. And then there's some important notes. So I'll pass this around. You don't have to do this. I know some of you guys do things with the board and handing out the chairs, so that's fine too. I understand our COPs, but I'll pass this around. And then once we have this, if we have one name, we'll be sure to make a copy and then email it, and then also provide you with a paper copy in the packet at the next meeting.
Okay, and are we still doing the council thing on June 17th for the parks?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
the proclamation.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that that's,
So I'm sorry, what are we doing on the 17th?
On June 17th is a council meeting where we're gonna do the proclamation for Parks and Rec Month. It's, Parks and Rec Month is in July, but we're doing it we're taking it to council to be recognized at last June meeting because it's kind of the kickoff to let people know that it's coming in July. So, but yeah, you're welcome to attend. I think we brought it up at the last meeting.
Well, I'm just verifying that that's still,
Yeah.
because you know,
We'll
sometimes
send you
things
all-
change and stuff. So.
I think our meeting,
Our
I think
meeting
it's
is
the same
actually,
week.
yeah,
It's the same week.
Thursday after that
Yeah.
proclamation.
So 17th is a Tuesday, our meeting is the 19th.
Yes.
So that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay,
Are we gonna, the volunteer opportunity, will there be volunteer opportunity for our PA month activity? Sit there, then.
Yeah, so that's what I talked to the team about. I said, cause some of them, that are like here at like these, we won't need it. So we want to identify the exact ones that we'll need assistance with, but yeah.
Okay.
It'll probably be the ones that we connect you guys with the events team, to do those.
So you'll let us know on the
Yeah,
meeting on the 19th.
yeah, we'll send an invite for the June 17th council proclamation.
Right, but then on the 19th, we'll discuss what.
Yes, we'll discuss the 19th, and then I'll also send you guys an invite to our Squire Park, which he'll go into deeper with, our Squire Park, like community feedback event. It's not really a community event, but you guys are the board and we would like to have you guys there. Well, we're not trying to feed thousands of people, but we'd like it to be that community. And then, of course, our representatives of the Parks and Rec.
This takes my thunder.
I'm so sorry, I'm gonna have my girl. Go ahead. Vanna, why?
I asked a question, it just snowballed. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so,
Yeah.
no, thank you. So now we'll go to C6, receive Parks Division and project updates.
Jessica already did it.
No, we want to hear.
Mercer Park, everything's been going on out there. We're still working on trying to get the playground and things together with that, but as of tomorrow, all the trees, probably 3/4 of the trees are going in. It's gonna be right out at a little over 30 trees. And in a couple of weeks, the grass will be going in. They'll be laying the sod for that project. We hope to be taking that to council here in probably about another month, once we get some things figured out to move forward with the design and everything with that. Transform Squire Park, June 25th, we're having a meeting with all the residents in that neighborhood and food to let them come up with some more ideas and have some survey, them to fill out more surveys. We've had a survey going now since about April. We've been getting good responses. We were supposed to have this same event back at the end of June, but unfortunately, we started getting into the rainy season and it got rained out. Or April, excuse me. Where am I?
I think we're.
So
It was April 30th.
At the end of April, and they've decided we're still having another, we had an online one that didn't turn out so well. We had some difficulty with the computer stuff. Supposed to believe have another one of those once we get it worked out, but we definitely are June 25th having the food and everything going on out there. Let the residents give more. I believe it's at 6 o'clock.
Then we have,
At Squire Park.
at the park,
Yes, at the park, June 25th.
and then on June 5th. At Vivian Field, that's.
Yes.
Yeah, June 5th, we're having another neighborhood meeting at Vivian Field. 6 to 8. In person.
That's the same time as the event subcommittee. It might be Wednesday or.
It's a Thursday too.
We'll probably just divide and conquer. He'll go to one and I'll go.
And it's really kind of a come and go as well. So, and like I said, we'll have another opportunity into the month, so if you can't make it to that. And that was, I kind of already scheduled, and just to let you guys know on how we're doing outreach, we are sending postcards to a lot, like an area in and around Squire Park. I'll let Tara go through that area, exactly what area we're sending postcards to. So we did send a group of postcards. I want to say it was about 1,000 homes in that area. So a good number. And it's just a postcard so the first one that we sent out talked about the survey, talked about the virtual meeting and the one we were gonna have on April 30th at the park. We're gonna send another card out this week. I think this weekend is gonna start going out to talk about the Vivian Field meeting and the meeting at the park at the end of June. So, so between that, all our social media outreach, yes, it's gone into the branch bulletin, I believe. And so, anyway, I think right now we've got about 100 surveys marked, right? From something like that.
So we've
So,
also been to the junior high school getting some information
Right.
from them. They've been able to fill
right.
surveys out, what they're really looking at, which is funny.
Sit on.
Let me make note, that is typo there. It is not Cedar Ridge, it is Creek Ridge Park. Y'all discussed this in another meeting. I believe it was on the minutes of the last meeting that was there. This particular park, I know that y'all had discussed it before. It's kind of a property that the city, we've had it forever, but there's never been any development on it. It's really a no access kind of park because where it's located. It's very high elevated. There's no way to really build parking in that area. And once you did try to build parking, there wouldn't have to be anything hard to do.
Right.
It also incorporates on the other side of the creek where we have probably altogether, it's probably about 1.5 acres, 2 acres. And we maintain behind the houses and to the creek. One of the things we're looking at doing here at Creek Ridge is we've been getting a lot of good compliments about Holiday Park with all the wildflowers that we've actually been able to grow finally out there. Had a good selection of blue bonnets. Now we have the Indian blankets that I've never seen them grow this tall before, but I mean, they've done outstanding. And we've gotten a lot of compliments. Well, there's been few people coming back. We're looking at doing a lot of kind of in certain areas, riparian areas to try to mitigate a lot of pollutants into water and things. On the front of this property, we're kind of looking at possibly either doing wildflowers or coming and making it more of native grasses to where it's just kind of like a little grass land waving in the middle. Behind the houses, that's where we're going to need to still maintain up to a level going towards the creek, and then from the woods coming out, we would actually have that buffer of higher vegetation where it catches things that are running out of the backyards and things like that from getting in the water streams. We have, that being said, I think I discussed it with y'all once before. With the stormwater person that the city has now, we've all been working together along with sustainability to try to come up with some ways to save our waters from getting pollutants and things. And one of the things we're going to try, and being in this public forum, we can get it out there, is at Rawhide Creek, there is some panels. We're going to try that on because we have a lot of erosion issues. And this would help save the gabion and try to help things out.
So thank you for that. So forgive me, I think we weren't at the last meeting. We had actually someone come and actually speak to us.
Yes, sir. He reached out to me and we had some very good conversations. He's working with Brookhaven Country Club on some projects and things. He's I guess more of a naturalist with plants and things like that. Very nice gentleman to talk to. We had a great conversation and he was really interested in how in the world we got those plants to grow like that.
So I guess it was the,
Well, that's
yeah, the gentleman that came to the meeting, Price, was the sustainability committee.
okay.
Yeah, but Mark had another gentleman after that meeting. Okay. Talked to him about the Park properties around.
I was confused because he
No,
said he was
that's
here.
okay. I'm in a constant state of confusion.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, what happened was he came and spoke to us last time, so I had never been to this.
Yes, sir.
So I actually drove to the park and discovered there is no place to park.
Yes,
So I
sir.
parked at the street that's south of the park and then walked. But let me just tell you, you gotta really you have to be bound and determined to get to this park because it's not even easy just to walk. So that was his point, which is, could we rewild it? And so, yeah, I think what you're talking about sounds really, really good because there's no way to get to it. But then at the same time, I don't think you want to just let it go completely wild because then it would be kind of an eyesore.
Yes.
So
It would be to where, there's a definite definition where we have to where we would have to still maintain a certain area in front of it, a certain amount off the roadway.
Okay.
But still maintain it, not to where it was just totally overgrown, but to where we still chemically treated it to actually have just grass. But it'd be natural grass that grows there, whether it's buffalo grass, because there's a lot of native buffalo grass in this area. But we might also seed it in more of a couple of different types of grass.
More prairie grass.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to anybody like the Laura Bush Nature.
No, I have not, but I have a company that we've been buying our seed from,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a lot of varieties. We've been doing a lot of stuff.
The Laura Bush would be a good source, because that's basically the rock that they built into that facility.
Okay.
We would never know was there.
This is the part, the way I put it on, I don't know, it might be hard to see, but this is Webb Chapel. They've got-
I walked the whole property and you couldn't, I tried to think, what could you do with this park? And I think the idea of letting it go, what the gentleman said, letting it go wild is the best idea.
The only place to park, I think you parked on Greencrest, didn't you?
Yeah, I think south, it would actually be better, if you want to get there, it would be better to park, the other side of Webb Chapel, but then you'd have to cross over Webb Chapel to get there. But in terms of the amount of distance to walk, that would be the best way to go. But there's no way, you got to really be bound and determined to get this park,
Yes.
because there's no easy way to get to it.
And like I said, I'm not sure how we ended up with it, but we've had it forever. And here a couple of years ago, because it's a park, they wanted a sign out there. And I think because we put a sign up at it, then it's drawn more attention. How is that a park? Versus it's just the right of way that we maintain in a creek bed. So that's the only thing I could say on that.
Thank you, Mark. Any other comment on that? Thank you. Okay, if we could, let's go to C7, receive an update from board members on parks, programs, events, or facilities attended in the city of Farmers Branch. I thought this branch connection preview was fantastic on May the 8th. Well done.
It's nice to have that tour.
Very nice. Everybody, very nice with you all.
Did y'all enjoy the landscape outside?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to tell you, I was joking with Robert. My husband and I were walking our dog the night before that event, and my husband nearly went through all that landscaping. Because the dog was leading him that way, and I told him to stop. And I never would have known that if y'all hadn't said the big deal about all the fresh landscaping. So do not walk on that.
Around the building, all around the building, against the building and out in the front parking lot, they're completed, and we will eventually continue on the north side. with all the Stuff that is from the weather and fast, but we'll get it taken care of.
Also, a big generator you got in the back with the big infrastructure around it. It just is a very impressive facility. Very, very impressive. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Also, on this coming Saturday, Friends of the Historic Park is helping with, coffee with the cops at the historic park. So if y'all get a chance to come out, it's 9 to 11, walk around, and meet some of the police officers and talk to friends.
Thank you. So I'd like to comment about one other thing that happened, and I want to thank Robert. I really, really, really appreciate Robert. He let us know about Bob Stewart's passing, and they had a really wonderful a ceremony for him at Brookhaven on Saturday, May the 10th. And I just want to thank Robert, because if he hadn't sent that to me, I wouldn't have known about it. And I'm just so thankful we got a chance to go. In respect to Robert, and obviously we all miss him. He's a wonderful man. But thank you, Robert, for letting me know, because otherwise I would have. And not to get too personal here, but he was working out here at the gym. I saw him all the time. There's a personal trainer named Sarah who worked with him and his girlfriend, and then all of a sudden I didn't see him anymore. And then I was talking to her, and just so thankful,
Yeah, that was a shock.
total shock. Total shock. Yeah, I mean, just on personal note, when I knew that Councilman Jackson was rolling off, I called him because he lives in District 4. I said, man, you ought to run because the council needs really good people like you. And I think he was thinking about it, but then obviously.
what I talked to you about before the meeting. I was walking behind City Hall and in those woods. And some days I go straight, some days I go right. I went right as I went right. Had I gone straight, a very large limb would have taken me out. And I texted Urbano immediately just because when I pulled up my phone, he was the first one I had. And my husband, when he walked the dog the next day, said it was gone, but it took me and a young couple to clear the path. So it was sizable. So we've got a lot of dead wood up in there, and Mark said that that's already in the plans to be addressed, but be very cautious walking through there. It was one of those windy days, and because it was, I was somewhat aware of it.
It's a good thing you zigged instead of zagged.
Exactly.
I've been going to the dog park a lot more with the dog, and I'm noticing a lot of people, I guess, getting new dogs, and they're wanting to walk them around on the leash, and it's causing dog aggression out there. So I don't know.
Inside the park?
Yeah, they're walking around inside the park on a leash, and the dogs that are sensitive to the leashes are then hyper focusing on them.
You're trying to tug on the leash and everything else.
Right, because then the dog's like staying with the owner and not actually doing the dog park thing. So I've tried to mention to him a couple of times, maybe you should walk them on the exterior. That's what I did with mine for a while. But they're insistent, no, they're in there and they're safe because they're on the leash. And it's causing incidents.
That's
But
a
I'm
nice
seeing
dog
it
out.
more and more, which is
Yeah.
crazy. I guess maybe they're seeing each other do it and it's spiraling.
I'll bring my dog out maybe on a Monday when we're closed and shoot like a little video, like a promotional video about it. We can put it out there.
Okay.
I thought the whole point of the dog park was so that your dog could run around without the leash.
Yes.
That's what I.
Yes.
My dog.
So they're afraid to bring them in there if they haven't been in before, because they think that way they can control them and keep them near them, and it's causing more incidents.
Huh.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if we could, let's go to C8, discuss potential agenda items for future meetings. So obviously, we're gonna keep on that, we're gonna have a talk about the community gardens. Does anybody else have anything else you want to have for the next meeting?
You're gonna keep the community events on there?
Community events. So,
Yeah.
make sure we're all signed up. We signed up for long.
No, the subcommittee.
Yeah. we'll keep
Yes.
that.
Anything else?
For June
Community garden.
19th, just be able to
Yes.
bring us whatever you need volunteer wise going forward, right?
Thank you. Volunteers going on there?
And before we just, I just want to, I know it's not an item, but I just want to let everybody know, council did have their sunset discussion on all the boards this past Tuesday. All the boards are continuing the next 5 years, so it was a quick review. They didn't have any questions. It was all the boards that pertain, that are under the Parks and Rec umbrella, so Park Board, Senior Advisory Board, Library Board, Arts and Culture Board, and Historical Park Board were on that list, and everything will move forward as it's changed.
Now, will we be getting new people or when
They
is
haven't
the,
announced that yet.
They haven't announced it, but they did make their choices at the last meeting, so, but yeah, I think, what meeting they said they're gonna finalize?
We have.
It's in June, I think they do the official June, but they did go through that as well. They chose their, those who re-upped on the board. I believe everyone part that re-up is on, no changes. And I think we got enough to get two new members, so we'll have, so we should be back up to 8. Well, yeah,
Are we having any alternates or no?
we'll have one alternate, so we'll be back up to 8 once everybody's back and Steven gets back. So probably in August, if everybody comes, we'll be back up to 8, 2 new members, so one alternate.
How many years do you know?
2-year terms, 3 times.
yeah, 6 years.
6 years. Yeah, so 6 years total, 2-year.
And then you have like 1 year gap and then you can reapply.
You can read. I think Jan, you did that.
Dan, Jack, Adrian.
I did that, but they did not take me the first year I applied. I had to be out 2 years.
Anything else? If not, can we get a motion to conclude the meeting? So moved. A second? All those in favor say aye. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nope.